My name is Cameron Lanier. I am the Director of Content at 280 Group. And today, you won't hear too much from me, which is probably good news for you. And so you're going to be hearing quite a bit, however, from Dean Peters, who many of you already know. He is one of our many principal consultants and trainers here at the 280 Group. He's also kind of our resident AI expert. And here at 280 Group, if you don't know too much about us, we focus on transforming your product management teams through training, through our awesome courses, and we focus heavily on outcome-focused product management training, which you'll hear a little bit more about today. Joining us today from Stormboard is, let me get this right, Reg Cheramy.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Okay. So Reg's joining us. He's the founder and CEO of Stormboard, which, if you're not familiar with, is a digital whiteboard platform. And there's some very exciting features they've recently added. It's a great collaborative tool for product managers to use. With that said, let's talk about a little bit of housekeeping real quick. I know one of the main questions we're going to get asked is, will this be made available to watch later? Yes, you will get an email if you have already registered with the information on how you can watch this later and watch it on demand at your pleasure. Beyond that, we also have the chat going, as you can already see. That chat will be monitored, and we will be taking questions throughout via the Q&A is our preferred way to do that. So please feel free to send us questions. We'll take those, and we're going to try to reserve some time at the end for questions as well. So with all that said, we want to start things off by getting to know a little bit about you. So we want to start with a poll question here. Now, so let me launch that. Our first poll question is, how many hours, how much time have you spent in ChatGPT or with similar tools? So yes, we're already getting answers really quickly here. So yeah, if you spent no time, 1 to 10 hours, 10 to 50, 50 to 200, or you might be like Reg and Dean here, who've spent 200 plus hours with these tools. So, I mean, I'm not sure they want to admit it, but we all know it's true. So with that said, we'll let this keep going. We got about 72% of you already participating, so thank you for that. Give it another minute here. Yes, in total, tell how many hours, we got that in the chat, how many hours in total have you spent in ChatGPT or similar AI tools, whether it be Bard or what have you. So, all right. Give it about, all right, we're slowing down. I'm going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're ending the poll. I'm going to share the results. So let's take a look here. I'm surprised, guys, looking at this, how many people filled in none. With us having AI-centric webinar here, or workshop, I should say, we have quite a few people who have not spent time with it at all. So I guess we have people who are here to learn. Anything surprise you or interest you in these results?
I am to a bit, considering all the chatter I hear, and of course, all the what I call prompt engineering parlor tricks that I see. Top 10 prompts for as a product manager, and of course they have no context, so people use it and then go meh. As opposed to those spending more time with that. I don't know, Reg, what's been your experience with that?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about the numbers here is they're pretty evenly split between none, 1 to 10, and 10 to 50. It's really neck and neck there between those three. So we've got a nice broad array of people that have used this, and then as expected, the crazy ones like me and you, or you and I guess is probably the way to say that, in that 50 to 200 plus, that's where it starts to drop off. But yeah, it's really interesting to see that, there's a lot of people that have put 10 to 50 hours into trying to figure out how to make ChatGPT work for them. So I'm interested in the results of the next poll that we do near the end that helps us understand a little bit more as well. So.
And I like your point there. It looks pretty even here. So let's tell a story, right? If you know anything about any of us at 280 Group, we like to teach through the story. We like to optimize there. So let's talk about not the smoke jumpers paradise, but the smoke jumpers paradigm. So I think, Reg, you're in control of the board here, and you notice that I've got use a little bit of prompt engineering. And the first one there is, hey, how many, in fact, in the chat session here, put in a number, how many times you as a product manager or a product owner have been parachuted into a new situation, whether it's new as a product manager job there, you are parachuted into a new fire, you are parachuted in too many to, yeah. So we're starting to see, so we all understand this metaphor of being parachuted in or dropped in. All right. And so, I decided to do like, hey, why don't we show some ways that we get parachuted in? And for example, imagine you're that smoke jumper, like product manager. You've taken training from us at 280 Group. We've given you all sorts of tools, and you're like, just like that new smoke jumper. Hey, I got a neat new axe, and hey, I got a neat new what do you call gas mask? And hey, look at this, we're in a plane. Isn't this cool? Hey, what's the door in the plane opening? Oh, and you get pushed out. Now you're falling, to earth with the parachute unfurled, and you're looking down at the ground saying, well, I don't want to land in the lake, and those trees look awfully pointing at, and I definitely don't want to land in that fire here. So how do you land? And as a smoke jumper, think about it. First thing you got to do is get, so for example, you got to land on target, check your equipment, check yourself. You got to do some things like, talk and collaborate here. You see, you have to have a shelter ready. You have to have radio contact with your partners here. And then you got to make sure that you're using the right tool for the job. So if you look at the other set of actions, or these 12 actions, or here are all these tools that you're going to need to know to use and when. So we thought it might be good to take a smoke drop situation or a smoke jump situation here around, you're at a job, it's been a 3-day weekend, or you come back from vacation and you see a press release from your CEO that they want to create an AI-driven pizza delivery ordering service. And this is the first time you're reading it. You're parachuted in. And by the way, the Slack message comes up saying, hey, did you see the press release? You get to work, you and your team get to go ahead and write this app to help people, because the CEO was tired of taking her family on vacation and not being able to figure out how to get gluten-free pizza in a town she's never been to before. And I think that takes us to the first section here in our board. That means your CEO, just like your stakeholders, just like your customers, just like your engineers, come to you in solution speak. She's saying, build me an app that does this. All of these people come to us in solution speak. It's your job as a product manager or a product owner to get that conversation back into the problem space. And the first place to do that is in the jobs to be done. What is the end user trying to do? What is the end user feeling in terms of pains? What do they want in sort of gains? And I think, when I did this with some prompt engineering and ChatGPT, it took me about 500-600 lines of prompt engineering. I think, Reg, why don't you go ahead and pick up this press release, and without all those lines of prompt engineering, show us how we can start scaffolding a conversation around outcomes. And if you'll notice what Reg has here, he has these templates on these sections. Those are the templates we teach with outcome-focused product management at the 280 Group. And what he's done, he's taken these templates, put those in the Stormboard, and he's going to show you the next generation of AI tools to help you get more done product management instead of prompt engineering. So Reg, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Dean. So so here we've got a jobs to be done template. We've, as Dean mentioned, we've mirrored that inside Stormboard. So I'm just going to drill into it. What you're going to see is the 3 sections that were referenced there: customer jobs, pains, and gains. So when you're doing a jobs to be done exercise, there's oftentimes initially a struggle to figure out, like, how do I get started? How do I prime the pump? How do I figure out what is a job? How do I think about that? What's a pain? What's a gain? And so what we've done with Stormboard is we've created a product edition called Storm AI that brings AI into the conversation. And what we're doing is super unique because it understands the context of the storm. And so I'm going to go into settings here into Storm AI, and we're going to see This is that press release, the summary from the press release that you guys experienced in the April 12th webinar. We took and just copied a couple of the paragraphs just to give Storm AI a little bit of context.
Yeah,
This
not
isn't
even the whole thing. It's not even the whole thing.
No. And it's not a prompt. This is just literally some text that describes the situation. And so now when we go out of this and we click the Storm AI button, what it's going to do, it's going to use that context and automatically give you customer jobs. That's the only context, just to be clear. The only context we gave it was literally that two paragraph. And then because Storm AI understands the template and the structure here, it's able to give us some customer jobs that are perfectly in line. Now, I know, Dean, when you were playing with this for your past webinar, you spent hours behind the scenes getting this all ready to present at the situation. And yet with Stormboard, you're able to just literally click a button and get customer jobs. No prompt engineering required. You just simply hit that little light bulb and fire some ideas your way.
Now, and think about this. When we show you these templates, well, we teach at the 280 group, the way we teach these as conversation centerpieces. In other words, we want to use generative AI to start great conversations. We want to scaffold great sessions, to steal a term from Ruby on Rails here. And so it's generate ideas. And if you notice, I dropped in another job, which means, I think, Reg, you can talk to that, is that, oh, so now that we've jump-started this conversation, think about how much easier brainstorming will happen if you have this type of contextual conversation starter here with the customer jobs. And I think there's a couple others here that we wanted as well.
Yeah, and so I'm going to click on some panes here. And what's important to note is this is a collaboration between AI and your teammates. This isn't about just having AI give you all the answers, although it does a pretty dang good job of giving great ideas. This is about having a collaboration, because the more ideas you add or delete, like if some of these ideas didn't make sense, you wanted to delete them. And then Storm AI is going to understand all the ideas that are in there, both human and AI generated, and give better ideas in each section as it goes. It's really a virtuous cycle where we're using the collaboration powers of Stormboard to train the AI in real time based on the ideas and the ideas in each section of the storm. So we'll fire up some gains here as well. And so the great part here is we're able to just get some ideas. Now, one of the debates that we often have over at Stormboard is, should we start just with the team's ideas, like the human ideas, before we add AI? Or should we prime the pump with AI? And I think you're going to experiment with that as a team, because I think there's different outcomes that come from going both ways. But even if you started with the team, then you layer on the AI is going to give you even better ideas. And then you can bring the humans back and you can have this back and forth.
And I'll add to that. Where do we start? So, for example, if you recently read or listened to the audio version of Teresa Torres's book on continuous discovery, and she talks a big thing in chapter 8, she talks about brainstorming, that normally what that studies have shown, you actually want people, there's actually what they call either social loafers or people who dominate the conversation at first, and they tend to inject a lot of bias. You can avoid that injection of bias by having these conversation starters here. And it looks like we got some good pains and gains here. I don't know, is it a time to sit there and get some Q&A questions?
Yeah, so we have one question. This is going to be for Reg. It says that somebody asked about a wait list and when will Storm AI be available?
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about how you can get access to Storm AI at the end of this call. But anyone that wants to give it a try, we have the ability to try it now, and it's available for our enterprise customers immediately. So we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the call.
Hey, Reg, want to do a PowerPoint presentation on this?
Awesome. Well, one of the beautiful things about Stormboard is our templates are dynamic, and instead of just being a picture in the background, which is a real struggle, all these sections are dynamic. So we can do great things like reporting. So you can now generate a PowerPoint report of these jobs to be done, because you don't want to take a screenshot of this and send it to your stakeholders.
Oh,
You
I can't.
stakeholder-ready
It is a.
document.
I'll tell you what I have to do right now. I mean, even with plugins, I sit there. I have to use all sorts of what would you call it? Markdown voodoo magic in ChatGPT or Bard to get it in a format that I can import it into PowerPoint, and I still have to massage it afterwards here. Yeah. So yeah, so now you get see not only great conversation pieces, but communication pieces here. And so this raises the question: do you want to spend more time prompt engineering or in product management talking about the problems we're solving here? And I think maybe that, why don't we figure out, now that we've got some pains and gains and jobs to be done here, I think maybe let's keep moving this conversation forward for our friends who've been smoke jumped or dropped in the middle of a burninating fire of a new initiative.
Awesome. Great. And to be clear, we export to both the Office suite and the Google suite. So if you're a Google shop, it'll export this into slides just the same, just for clarity. So we're going to jump back up to the main webinar Storm here, and we're going to go over and talk next about the problem space. So we've kind of got our jobs to be done. Now, Dean, talk a little bit about the problem space.
So you're actually seeing two templates here. All right. And one is, again, a brainstorming exercise on the problem space. How do we get people thinking about the problems before we start talking of the solutions? I mean, I think, Reg, you and I were joking the other day. I said like 3 or 4 years ago, the hippo comes running in the room saying, give me Web 3.0. And then 2 or 3 years ago, give me blockchain. And then the Siegel manager swoops in last year and says, give me NFTs. And then this past year, you have the Rhino comes, charging into your office saying, give me generative AI. And I think we were joking. I think, what was it? You had mentioned like, oh no, that's changed now. It's already changed. Your boss is telling you to make it work with Apple Vision Pro. So we always get these solutions speaks. All right. So what I like about what I've seen here, this next generation tool like Stormboard, it's going to reverse engineer that solution speak into problem space, first through brainstorming, and then using a very simple prioritization process where we're basically just saying, is it high value and low cost, which is what we want to do? Is it low value and high cost, which we really don't want to do? Or is it on the other areas of the extremes where we either have to split the work that may be high value but also high cost, or reconsider the work that's low cost but low value here? So Reg, why don't you show us how to reverse engineer that solution speak into a conversation piece around the problem space?
Awesome. So once again, what I've done is I've kind of combined those two templates into one, just to make it a real easy conversation here. And I'm going to go into the Storm AI context, and you're going to see I've just taken sort of like a high level pitch of this. So instead of the multi-paragraph we did in the last one, this is something really simple. And again, you're not entering a prompt. You're just like asking like, how do I do this? And so what it's going to do, it's going to generate problems in the problem space all automatically. Limited delivery options, unclear ingredients in the pizza, difficulty communicating dietary restrictions. All of these are key problems related to this, getting gluten-free pizza in a town that you've never been to. And so Storm AI is just instantly and almost magically generating, problems. And obviously you're going to want your team to be adding their problems, getting inspired by this, creating ideas. And then once you've got a bunch of ideas, then you want to prioritize them, because all problems aren't equal, right? Some problems are more high value, some are low value, some are low cost and low risk, and some are high cost and high risk. So what we can do is, fear of cross-contamination. That's a problem, and that's a high value problem. And we can drag and drop these in different areas here, based on on what we think. And because it's collaborative, if I don't agree with where Bob dragged that one, I'm like, oh no, delivery fees, that's way more high cost because of gas prices. So I would drag that over here because it's more in this angle. So we can really collaborate and really figure out which are the ideas in that top right quadrant, which are high value and low cost, because those are problems we can solve quickly and get a great ROI on. And so, one of the struggles you might have here is all of a sudden, these ideas are overlapping because there's so many in that high value. We can dynamically adjust the size of this template and just make some more room. And what you're going to see is it just made more room, but kept all the ideas proportionately, because Stormboard templates are dynamic. It kept them all there in a super logical fashion. And I know, Dean, you put, I think you put this idea in the center there, this blue one. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So as we do, one of the ways I teach this exercise here is that normally when you're doing this type of prioritization, find the center, find what makes the most sense for the center, because what I've seen happen now, what I like about your product here, it actually, because it makes it, we can make a good distribution here. But often when I've seen people doing this without the benefit of generative AI is that the things tend to all go high and to the right, which means do everything. Everything's priority one. So what you want to do is look within that list here and find that thing that goes in the dead center, and then use that as your point of reference, around that. So as you start, in this case, talking about the problem here, you're sending it around that around medium value and medium cost. So everything then becomes a relative prioritization.
Awesome. And so again, the great thing about having this template is when you look at all of these high value, low cost problems, it's going to inspire you to think of more problems that are similar to those. And so there's a real magic of tying that together. And we might look at some of these problems and say, like these two here are, location related.
Yeah.
And
so,
and
yeah,
now we can
and that's a
group
process
those.
we call affinity mapping here.
Absolutely. And so now you can visually see that. And now you can think, well, what other location problems are there? And you can really think through that problem as you use the affinity mapping to inspire brainstorming. You can cycle through that. So,
and the same thing would happen if you're looking in that upper left-hand quadrant. Normally what I tell people is if you got stuff that's high cost, but also high value, but a high cost, maybe think about splitting it. Certainly it'll reduce the value a little bit here, but if you split it, you can move it closer to that quadrant one there.
Absolutely. So, you might end up combining these ideas into one and splitting some of the bigger ones over here into multiple ideas. Again, this is all about an iterative, collaborative process. And then Storm AI is just that generative AI piece that's helping you think of problems that you might not have thought of. One of our customers, when we were showing this off to them, they were super excited that sometimes Storm AI is going to give weird ideas, or, you might call them bad ideas. That's great, because what it does is encourage your team and your employees and your coworkers to think more wildly. That idea can't be as bad as something that Storm AI might have generated. And so, you free your team to think outside the box and do those creative things that we talk about all the time. But because AI is not always nailed, it's actually pretty awesome oftentimes, but sometimes it's going to throw some curveballs at you. I think it frees up people to think more creatively. And then, so one of the great things here is we can go out and do an Excel report. And because now we've got these prioritized, problems, we might want to put that into a different tool. And so oftentimes Excel is a great place to do that. And so here we have all the ideas, including unique identifiers. You can programmatically do stuff with them. It knows what legend color they are, their shape, its XY position. It also knows that it's in the prioritize section, and it knows which quadrant each of those ideas are in. So it knows that this is in that high value, low cost quadrant, and it'll rank it on the x-axis from 0 to 10, and on the y-axis from 0 to 10, and give you that actual numerical value. So now you can take that data, it's actual real quantifiable data. So we take this visual collaboration, turn it into quantifiable data. So then you can slice and dice this in a more quantitative way to make even better decisions. And this is a real live Excel. You can slice and dice this, download it, do whatever you want. And it's embedded directly inside of Stormboard. So there's that. I'm going to come back up to the top here, and Cameron, I know you're monitoring the Q&A. Any
Yeah, we got a
Q&A?
couple questions. So first of all, I'm glad you showed the Excel because that was one of the questions. So thanks for pulling that up and nailing that one. Next, however, we have a couple concerns about confidentiality. We've asked, how about data security? Is data entered in the system available to everybody? Someone gave a warning about feeding models with confidential information. Can you speak to that a bit, Reg?
100%. So, our customers are large enterprises primarily, and their data security and privacy is paramount. Now, when you use ChatGPT on the web or in their app, they're using your data to train their models. But
in fact,
we use with our solution, you don't, because it's using the API, and we've got a dedicated instance on the Azure OpenAI service. And so the only thing that happens with your prompts is they're logged for security auditing and compliance nature, and absolutely scrubbed in a maximum 30 days. So they're not used for any training data. They're not used for anything. And all of that data is completely sealed and secured, and not used to train any AI models at all. Additionally, we've got...
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just got back on. I dropped off here, so because I got some things to add to that, but go ahead.
Okay. And then one other thing we've got coming is the ability to flag an idea as don't send this to AI. So we'll have the ability to do that, so that even another layer of security. Obviously, as a company, we're SOC 2 compliant and have done all the things. We'll pass all your security audits, all that good stuff. And security is 100% paramount. And so, we're talking with our largest enterprise customers and making sure that we're building this in a way that their security departments are going to be thrilled with, because they're going to get the power of AI without the scary part of their data perhaps being used to train. One of our customers, it's really interesting. They had a bit of a mandate, a public mandate to not use AI. When we demoed this to them, they instantly said, we're going to go talk to our security department and get that changed, because this is going to be transformational to our company. So
and to your point, and to your point, we're seeing instances where organizations are saying, don't use these tools here, that are, these online tools. And for a lot of the reasons that Reg talked about. The other thing is, when you start posting stuff into these online tools, such as ChatGPT, you're not getting the protection of pseudonymization, where they basically, instead of the Dean Peters, they replace it with Bob Smith. And you can always go back and replace that, or where they just delete my name altogether, or they suppress it. They sort of, you take a black Sharpie to it, or they generalize it saying, product manager older than dirt, or encryption here. So these are some of the risks that are in place here when you deal with that. So I think that's a really timely question here. And I think we're ready to talk about, now that we've got our problem space sort of shaped here, I think what we want to do is go ahead and talk about shaping our solution space here. And again, we have this template here. It's a very similar brainstorming exercise. You'll notice, though, to the right-hand side of this, we have 3 additional guides for the conversation here, all right, that are specific to this. And one is a problem statement, which is followed by the conversation, how might we solve? And then a solution statement here. So, Reg, why don't you go ahead and drive the bus?
You got it. So here we're taking one of the problem statements from the previous exercise, and we're going to just dive into this one a little deeper. So, so simply we just click this AI button here again, and it's automatically creating how might we questions, automatically formatted intelligently, because we asked it to do that with the template, and it's magically just giving us some how might we scenarios. And then right behind that, it's giving us some potential solutions.
Yeah, I like that first one. That first, how might we?
Yeah, it's perfect, right? This is dialed in. This is This is exactly, an AI powered pizza ordering platform. It's funny, in our dry run, it generated an idea similar to this, but without the word AI powered. It's really interesting that it got it even better this time, and really nailed exactly what we're thinking about there.
Yeah, and what I like about this now is, again, you're able to have a solution conversation that is not a bunch of wild animals or dangerous animals trampling, the product outcomes. If you'll notice, all these that were recommended and we're around the product outcome we talked about, around the jobs that we've done that we talked about. When I've had to use GPT, I've had to remind the session because it would run out of tokens and forget where, the original conversation here. And I like this here. I think, Cameron, it's time for our second poll now that we've seen how much work's involved here, because I want to get us to the lean canvas, but I think I want to get us first to the next poll here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's hop into that. I'll launch that now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how effective has ChatGPT or similar tools been for you? We want to know,
We're basically asking you, is the orange worth the squeeze? For those of you in product management, you've heard that metaphor before.
1 is
okay.
bad.
One
10,
is, one is like,
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
10 is like, my favorite thing by go. 1 is like, Well, actually, maybe 5 is more like meh. And 1's like, no, it almost got me fired because I didn't check it for accuracy and it hallucinated on me.
Well, it's a good point in the chat.
Yep.
Justine, wide variation depending on application, and that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So try to average it out, if you will.
I will go to Bard for software engineering questions, even though I've told my therapist for the past 20 years I'm trying to quit. I'm recovering software engineer and I want to quit, but I've been able to write some small utilities, and I'll go to Bard before I go to Bing or to go ChatGPT for actual coding.
Sure. All right, we'll give it a few more seconds here. I'll start counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's share the results.
Interesting.
So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts here?
Reg, you want to go, and I'll pick it up from there. I mean, these are really intriguing results.
It's really interesting to see a good chunk are like in that 6 or less. Like, those aren't, if we used
net promoter score,
net promoter score style, it's frustrating, right? And ChatGPT can be frustrating because unless you know how to talk to it effectively, it's sometimes a struggle to get those answers. But then, at the top end, you see there's not very many on that 10 where it's a 10 out of 10, just showing that there's some work to be done there. But there is a good band in that 7 to 8 of like people are pretty, finding it pretty effective. I think, one of the interesting things is if we crossed this data with the data of how long people have spent with the first poll, I'm going to suggest that the people that have spent that 50 to 200 hours are probably the same people that are getting the 7s and 8s. And the people that have spent, 5 to 20 hours are probably in that 1 to 6, it would be interesting to actually cross that data, but that would be my hypothesis here.
So I like I said, this is great feedback here. I think my camera's frozen, but you can all still see me, I think.
We can hear you at least.
You can hear me.
Okay,
yeah. Apparently Zoom is having issues with me today. It really doesn't want me to do this webinar because we're giving away secrets on how you can use generative AI to get real work done here. And clearly the machines want to take over. Really quick, we're going to talk a little bit about one of the things I teach is managing up and managing across. So we've done a good job of having our conversations with our peers, our UX team, our engineers team about the problem space and the solution space. But now we've got to manage up and manage across. We got to manage up to our bosses ahead who are looking more at the financial picture. We're talking about managing across to other business units that perhaps have different opinions here. And we're trying to get them to sell into this. So what we're going to do is the lean canvas as a way of creating a consolidated conversation piece. And Reg, I'm going to let you go ahead and show how you use the guided Lean Canvas for this while I try to get Zoom working again.
Awesome. Thanks, Dean. So Lean Canvas is one of the hundreds of templates that we have built into Stormboard. And it has a neat feature called guides. So with guides, if you aren't familiar with a Lean Canvas, you can just click this guide button and it's going to teach you about how to fill in this problem statement. And so it's going to give you questions, examples, and instructions on how you might do that. And you can flip through the cards and it's going to help you really understand how to do this template. So, and this guide will do that for each of the sections in there, which is really awesome. However, at the same time, we can use AI to do that. And if we go to the Storm AI prompt, you're going to see this is very similar to that one problem that we just talked about, or that one solution, an iPhone or a phone app that uses AI to recommend the most popular gluten-free pizza packages when I'm in a new town. So that's the context that we're giving it. That's the space we're giving. And now, because Lean Canvas is a known template, Storm AI just does a great job of this. So it's able to quickly generate some of the problems that you might have in that scenario. It's able to generate some of the solutions, some key metrics that you should think about.
Yeah, and for those of you who are yeah, I was going to say, for those of you who are technical product managers, pay special attention as it starts getting, you know, once it gets past what do you call it, this number 6, 5, 6, and 7 here, because that's sort of those financial conversations that I know we get a little bit of flop sweat about. Maybe we don't have an MBA here, so it's going to start, those conversations from as we manage up are going to be the segments, because they want to know about total addressable and service addressable market. All right, what am I looking at for cost? What am I looking at for revenue in there? You know, because those conversations around CAC and LTV, all that stuff we teach. And so now you've been able to frame this conversation, of course, modify it as well. You know, and is there anything else there you wanted to point it out here? Because I think I want to, like I said, I'm really impressed with the fact that I've got places. In fact, it reminds me of a podcast, Lenny's podcast, the well-known a podcaster. It's just called Lenny's Podcast. He was interviewing Melissa Perry, who you might know from writing the book Escaping the Build Trap, and she was joking with Lenny, saying, "Yeah, you know, I teach, you know, CPOs, and they want to use the Lean Canvas. You know, they mentioned the Lean Canvas to me, and I said, yeah, but it's the trick is not learning how to use the Lean Canvas." The trick is learning how to have the conversations to populate the Lean Canvas, so it just doesn't become one big garbage in, garbage out template here. And I like what Stormboard's given us here as a way of saying, you know, helping guide us with examples.
And so one of the things I want to highlight here is the answers that you're getting here. The idea is the section fills here that we're doing with Storm AI. They're shockingly good, and I'm going to tell you straight up, there's no smoke and mirrors. I showed you the context that we're giving, and it's literally doing this with just that amount of information. This is absolutely
real time.
Yeah, 100% real time.
Reg has put his life in his hands with this. All right, so you know,
100%. This is generating these ideas, and the other thing I want to highlight is when we use this, it's good. Like, it's really amazing. These ideas are really amazing. But when we bring our whole team on and they add their ideas, then the AI is even better. Like, there's another gear that you're not seeing here, because most of these ideas are AI generated. I think we've got a couple that we've had the team put in here or whatever. But when you combine the power of humans and AI in this type of exercise, it's even more magical. Like, I think anyone that's used ChatGPT would look at this and go, wow, this is amazing. This is, you know, pages and pages of prompting that I'd need to do in ChatGPT, and it's just happening instantly in Storm AI.
And I've actually taken this session here, run it there, and I can tell you it's hundreds of lines of that, and actually having to know how to speak Markdown. You know, and you mentioned a really great point here. Listen, y'all. You know, when it comes to when it comes to AI, all right. Yeah, go ahead here. Yeah, well, we'll share this link out you know, at the end of the session here. But something to think about here. What Reg is doing is something that I've been teaching about AI for the past 10 years. when I've been a product manager, head of AI products and projects here. Why don't we let the computers do what they do well as a coaching system so humans can do well what they do well? And as a coaching network, Stormboard fits that bill of saying, hey, we're going to give you that skybox coach who's going to help you call the right play when your feet are on the ground here. Now, speaking of the right play here, and because I want to make sure we leave time for Q&A, all right, I got this. And, for whatever reasons, I'm in a large enterprise here and they want it in a Word document here. All right. They want this, almost like a business case here. How about I take what I have? And by the way, you're showing that there's a history here, which you don't get from GPT. You show who collaborated and when. You show where it showed up in the conversation. If we put votes on these, who voted for which ideas. So you see all these things happening that you wouldn't see in a GPT situation here. So Reg, why don't you go ahead and as we talk about our smoke jumper, who's now ready to manage up, how they might go ahead and generate a communications document on this.
So here we've got a Microsoft Word document embedded directly inside Stormboard, generated all automatically because it understands the context here. Here's all the ideas by section. Here's the problems, the solution, unfair advantage, et cetera, all of that nicely done. We didn't do any groups, but now here's all the ideas by creation date. All of them are created today because we did this live. Here's all the ideas by creator. This is me. So any of the AI ideas are me. And then Matt added a couple in there as well. Here's all the ideas by the legend color. And, so we've got a few different legend colors. Here's the tasks that have been assigned. Here's the incomplete tasks by due date and by who's assigned them and any completed tasks. So I assigned a couple of these to different people. Here's the top ideas by number of votes and a vote summary of who voted for what. And then some comments, because you can have comments and ideas. All those comment threads also come through. So what we've managed to do in literally a 2-second button push is give you a full stakeholder-ready document of a Microsoft Word document. This is like legit slice and dice. Take this Microsoft Word document, open it in Word, take out the parts you don't want, add in the parts you do want, format it however you want, put it on your letterhead, and boom, you've got a stakeholder-ready document. Now, in any other tool that you do use to do this, you would be spending hours or days of manual transcription trying to turn this screenshot into a stakeholder-ready document.
And I'll tell you, like I said, I know Markdown, but how many of you all out there know and master Markdown to make this happen and know how to take it from Markdown there? So really great transition here. I think I want to give us some time for some Q&A, I think, but I think, Cameron, do we want to talk about, because I know some people will need to jump off perhaps early here. And I think, like I said, there's a question there while Cameron, you're getting set up here. And then I think we'll start answering some questions here through some of the Q&A. We'll go through the Q&A board first and then maybe through the chat. So Cameron, let's talk about how we can help people save time.
Well, I'm going to let Reg talk about this part here, and then we can talk.
Awesome. So one of the questions we had earlier is how do we take advantages? How do we start using Storm AI today? So we're going to put in the chat a link to a form that you can enter to win. And only people that are on this call are eligible to win this. Is a $5,000 credit towards an enterprise subscription. And so this will get you started. We're giving away one of those, and then we're giving away a bunch of $500 gift certificates to our enterprise subscription as consolation prizes as well. That $5,000 value there is going to include, consulting with our experts, helping understand what your problems are, showing you how to solve those problems, and getting you some seats so that you can really explore it inside your organization. So we're super excited to have a number of winners, but the $5,000 winner is going to have a heck of an awesome experience. And so if you go to the chat, Matt Inglis just put that link in there. If you click on that and put your entry in, we'll get you in the draw for that. And then if you're still looking just to experiment with Stormboard, you can certainly request a demo with our team, and they'll get on a call with you. Even if you don't win, we'll happily get on a call and help understand your needs. But I don't want to make this a big thing. I just wanted to let you guys know that we're putting a nice big prize out there for to thank you guys for showing up today.
Yep. And Cameron, I think we got some webinars, and I think we got a workshop to talk about.
Yeah, there's a couple things we want to discuss here. So first and foremost, you see that we have a webinar coming up. Now, the real reason we're talking about why do products fail is we've been hinting at something here on the 280 side that we haven't really talked about head on. And there's reason for that. What you saw today in Stormboard is you saw some of our fancy new templates. And what we've been working on behind the scenes and have not officially announced is that we have a lot of new content, material, and instruction coming for product managers. And what we were excited to do here with Stormboard was marry that content with Storm AI to really take your product management workflow to the next level. And so what we are excited about is that in our Why Do Products Fail webinar, we're going to be releasing more information about those templates, including some of the ones you saw today. So that's one thing to be very much aware about. Please join us for that webinar. Now, next, you might recognize that beautiful face there of Dean Peters, where he will be teaching a workshop about the power of generative AI in product management. And again, it's about marrying these tools. It's about taking the way to take generative AI is by using the framework that we provide here at 280 Group. But I can let you speak to that a bit more, Dean.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a workshop that's going to, I know you're probably getting questions about how to use generative AI in your work as product managers and how to include that in your products. So this workshop is going to be a one-day workshop that helps you understand that. We are going to touch on some of the topics we talked about today, as well as a variety of other topics. So I think, Cameron, you'll provide those links.
Yep.
And like I said, and you'll see we have some other courses coming up. Our digital product management, our what do you call it, agile product management, and again, we're going to help you take those solution speak conversations and move them into the problem space here. But I think right now I want to talk to people. See what sort of questions they have here. So, for example, can you convert this information into stories? Well, we know we can do it. I've seen it happen in Stormboard, and I've seen it happen in ChatGPT. We've shown it in both here. So, to that question is, yeah, you can certainly create these into stories here. That's not a problem here. And yes, there will be a recording. We got a question here in the actual Q&A area here. Is there a way to edit specific prompts for the next section? Like add some additional context. So I know you can do that in GPT and prompt engineering. It's just more coding. But Reg, I think you've shown a few ways of how you can add more context as you transition from section to section.
Yeah. So the beautiful thing is we don't want you to have to learn how to be a prompt engineer. We're doing a whole bunch of engineering on the back end to make sure that you don't have to do that. But to answer your question, you don't actually have to edit the prompts to make it more focused. You just have to add more ideas like what you want, and it will automatically be more focused. And for clarity, I may not have been 100%, or I'm going to restate the statement that when you're adding ideas to the different sections of Stormboard, it's taking the ideas from all those other sections to inform what it's going to add for this specific section. So it's far more advanced than you doing the prompt engineering. It's actually doing all of that by understanding the whole context space and generating better ideas. So the more ideas that you add or you have AI add, the tighter it's going to get and the better it's going to get. So really, it's just doing all of that automatically. Right. Yeah. And again, if you've done prompt engineering, for those who've done a lot of hours, you have to continue the conversation. And if you look at some OpenAI API conversations, they always talk about creating this running dialogue that you have to keep feeding back into the system to do that here. So yeah. Any other questions here? Let's get some questions rolling, people. There was one, Dean, that I saw in the list, and I just want to touch on it. There's a question of does it integrate with Jira? And we talked about adding that into this mix, but we didn't want to go that, we didn't want to distract from the AI conversation. We have an incredible bi-directional integration with Jira, Azure DevOps, and Rally that allows you to, when updates happen in Jira, they automatically move the ideas in the Stormboard. When you move ideas in the Stormboard, it automatically updates in Jira. Our Jira integration, if you're interested in that, reach out to our team. We'll give you a demo that'll blow your mind. Our Jira integration is top notch, and we may talk to 280 Group and do an upcoming webinar and dive deeper on that, because I think, you know, if there's a demand from that from the audience here, I think we've got something really really exciting to show there.
Yeah, we've talked so much about the strategic aspect today, which is we know is where we get tripped up, because if you don't figure out the right thing to build, it doesn't matter whether you build it right. All you're doing is delivering crap faster. So yeah, I think it would be, perhaps, seeing what sort of feedback we get here. Hey, do we have a tactical conversation for those of you who smoke jumpers who are really on the front lines here, who have to get some things done as well? I see a question here about data ownership. I know you talked about that a little bit, but I don't know if you want to add any more to that, Reg.
Yeah, so all the data, you own it. None of the data that goes into Storm AI or into Stormboard is used to train OpenAI's models or any other third parties, generative AI models. All the data is 100% yours, and we're doing everything we can to make the experience exactly what your security teams at your large enterprises are expecting. Right. So, we're happy to dive deep and talk to your InfoSec team and really get them comfortable. But, in short, none of this is being used to train models, and you own all your data.
Right. And can I, maybe can you tell me whether I'm in the right place or not? As a typical SaaS, well, not as a enterprise SaaS product, of course, you offer a lot of the protections you get with multi-tenancy that you aren't going to get from an open tool like ChatGPT at this point in time, or Bard or Bing Chat.
100%. And you get the collaborative nature, right? You get to collaborate multiple people using the AI instead
of one. There's a history.
100%. And a collaboration, right? Rather than just one person typing in ChatGPT and then somehow transcribing it. So absolutely.
Right. And in fact, I think you mentioned a really strong word. If you walk away with just a few thoughts here, again, let computers do what they do best so they can coach us humans to do what we do best. And generative AI, well, listen, I enjoy prompting. I do it for fun. Okay. So I'm a little bit, like I said, tell my therapist I can quit doing engineering anytime I want. I just don't want to right now. But the fact of the matter is, as someone who's had to lead and direct product management, I really don't want my product people spending all day becoming great prompt engineers. I need them to be collaborative, great product managers. You worried about ChatGPT or other AI replacing your job? Yes. If all I'm doing is prompt engineering or slinging Jira tickets or, doing other forms of feature factory or firefighting, yeah, AI would replace that here. So what I like about Stormboard is it helps us frame conversations so we can be great negotiators as we have to manage up and across. We can be great storytellers as we have to manage across, down, and into our client base here. It helps us become great, it helps us empower our teams so we actually have teams of great decision makers, which help us scale at the speed of change. So again, I really excited about using generative AI. This is the promise that I like to see of, all right, let's take out the clerical work here. And so we can be those great conversationalists and spend more time, maybe in empathy interviews with our customers, spend more time saying, hey, appreciate you bringing me the solution. Let me think about the problem a little bit here first.
Absolutely. And sorry, go ahead, Reg.
One pop up at the end here. It's only available in the enterprise plan, not available for small businesses. So you can sign up for a 30-day free trial of our business subscription. And during that 30 days, you'll be able to access Storm AI. But after that, you'd need to convert to our enterprise plan to continue to use it. That's kind of the structure that we have today for rolling this out. But we're happy to have a conversation and make sure that we can bring value to your organization in whatever form. So lots of options there.
Yeah. And by the way, for those, yeah, and for those people, by the way, who've been hung in here to the end, Reg, you want to share the link to that my Chat GPT session that I created? Just put it here in the chat. So if you want to see all the prompt engineering I do, and you have to double the number of lines here because I actually had to do some engineering before that. But here's a session I used to try running the same conversations that you can see all the work I had to do.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. It's pages and pages of work that Dean had to do traditionally, where with Stormboard, literally you're putting a 2-liner in, and Stormboard's templates and Storm AI are doing all of this work that Dean spent hours. And
stop right there. Look at that. See those numbers? Yeah, you double, the number of prompt and lines I had to do, because I had to go to Bing Chat and say, oh, I need to shape Tam, Sam, and Sam. So again, your question you need to ask yourself is, do I want to make a career as a prompt engineer, or do I want to make a career as a product manager having great conversations?
Yeah, and I appreciate that you guys shared that, because anyone who was in our previous webinar about ChatGPT, they saw the steps, they saw how much it took, right, Dean? And I love the fact that this is so much faster. Dean, you love prompt engineering. I do not. I just want to go there and get the answers. And I think really what the point of everything today, right, is Storm AI is powerful. You marry it with 280 Group's templates, and all of a sudden you're getting to the answers you want more quickly.
Yeah.
And to Dean's point about being, dropped into, a situation where you need to move fast, you have to have those two elements together. You need the templates with the Storm AI, and then the two together, boom, you're going to get to those things you need quickly.
Yeah. And I'll just add to that.
Actual product manager, right?
Yeah. It's using the right tools to figure out first the right thing to build before you negotiate and haggle over building it right.
Absolutely. And we're having requests for the previous webinar. So let me get the link and I can share that real quick. Reg, there's a question about independent consultants and the possibility there.
Yeah, for sure. We're happy to talk to anyone about how we can let you take advantage of this. So just reach out to our team, and we'll figure out how to make something that really works for you.
Awesome. Any last questions before we get out of here?
All right, folks, be awesome. Help others do the same.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm going to share the link real quick for anyone in the chat, and we will be sending out the link to this one as well. Thank you all for joining us, and have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.